So let's get to it. Is this the apocalypse? For those who are slightly unaware, what is occurring? Well, Batgirl, the film, apparently is now permanently dead. I doubt it's dead forever, but it's going to be a while before we get it. And there are a lot of myths and lies and contradictions about what the hell is happening. I'll try to be very factual at the beginning, and then we're going to get more into the opinions I have on what Discovery's up to. So, Batgirl is essentially a casualty of Discovery doing a lot of cost cutting. They're going to axe a lot of television, a lot of film projects, and Batgirl is just one of many victims. But in terms of why Batgirl in particular is that they've thought it through and they just don't think it's profitable. They think if they put it on the streaming service, they're going to lose more money than make money. So there it is. That's it. And I have to be honest, I think they're probably right. Although this isn't super big budget, it is still fairly pricey. It's almost $100 million. And you wonder, where's the money going? Well, they are doing quite a lot. And this has been rumored for a while, but now it's fact. The directors have confirmed, yes, Michael Keaton was going to be in Batgirl. He is at least doing a cameo. They also have Brendan Fraser playing Firefly. And then we have, of course, the lead character. Presumably, all these salaries and all these costs add up. So even though it's, quote, a lower budget film than some other DC projects, it's still fairly pricey. So the negative people who just hate a lot of this so called diversity, because, I don't know, they just hate it, are celebrating that this is good. Finally, the MCU, the feminist communists are being held in check and whatever. And the other side that is pro feminist and pro DC is going to war as well. They think this shows the hypocrisy of the Snyder cult, shows the hypocrisy of the alt right, blah, blah, blah. So both sides are taking very polarized positions, but really, this is mainly a financial decision. And yes, you could interpret it as a kind of veiled racism, but it's a little bit more complex because apparently the directors, gotta be careful, they put out something that I think you could consider anti black. They've also done some suspicious things hanging out with Critical Drinker. So there we are. So both sides are kind of misrepresenting what Batgirl is. It's neither this radical feminist project, it's not. And people who are supporting it think, yeah, this is a really great step forward for the DCEU and representing women. Really, it's not. All this is about the money and trying to move beyond the Snyderverse, but doing so in a very cheap and I think very cynical fashion. Because if you did look at the Snyderverse, it already had a lot of diversity. It really can't be that's the main reason they're doing this. So it's them trying to have HBO Max be kind of a premium streaming service, as well as introducing a lot of cost cutting. And this has already happened before. For instance, the Birds of Prey movie was, for its budget, fairly small. Same thing with Joker. Problem is, Joker made tons and tons of money, but Birds of Prey did not. And that gets us into the more opinion based section where does this signal that the Hamadaverse is a failure or that it worked? Well, it's hard to say because really the only indisputable success he's had is the Batman. That was profitable, that was his project, but Joker was not. That really was a Todd Phillips thing. And as Phillips and the producers kind of confessed, really DC didn't want to do it. They were sort of dragged into doing it. So it's a project they took on reluctantly, but it worked out. It was a massive success. It's going to have a sequel, whereas the Hamada projects have pretty much all failed, whether it's the Suicide Squad, Birds of Prey, and now Batgirl. But again, to be fair to him, HBO just made this very bizarre decision to put a lot of great films like Matrix Resurrection, Suicide Squad, and others available on streaming while they were in theaters, and that really destroyed the box office potential of a lot of those films and projects. It's a little bit all over the place. If Hamada had been given more control, or maybe they followed his strategy all the way, it would have succeeded a lot more. But as it is, it has not been a major financial success, and again, that's why he was chosen, really, was to bring a financial success to Warner Brothers, and he's only had really one major hit. So it doesn't really look too good for Hamada. Now I realize as a Snyder person, I'm biased. Like if Hamada was fired tomorrow, I probably would be celebrating. But if he gets fired, it is going to be the same thing with Batgirl. It's not a kind of war against diversity. It's just they're going to move forward with projects that make money. Projects that don't make money, they're not going to get greenlit or they're going to be shelved. It's just that simple. I think the obvious question here is that Well, does Batgirl not have an audience? I think this is where the alt-right people are really wrong. You may not like Batgirl, I may not even be excited for the project, but there is a fan base for it, so those fans are being disrespected. It does feel like they've created needless schisms within the fandom for no reason, and they've been doing this for quite a while, and the future looks fairly bleak because besides Black Adam, they really don't have one project that most of the fandom can rally behind, because even people who do want Flash and some of the other projects like Joker 2, those really are for certain parts of the fandom, not the whole fandom. It seems clear the whole fandom would line up with a Superman project and perhaps some other projects, but those are not going to be planned except for Black Adam. They just don't have a lot of films that are going to really appeal to a broad base because really their most popular thing so far is the Snyderverse, but they say they're not going to move forward with that. Really, it's unclear where they're going to go with the DCEU. So it'll be interesting in the days ahead, but that is really what's going on. Is Batgirl was shelved for financial reasons, and to some degree, I actually sympathize with what they're doing, but it's the way they're doing it that is causing a huge amount of ruckus and probably alienating a huge amount of the fandom. And really, just this is a victory for Marvel and MCU because those fans are going to go somewhere, but they're not going to go to DCEU anymore, and that's a shame.